Positivity is the way. Welcome to positivity is the way to go. He is a former radio personality of 15 years, broadcast for 20 years. He is an award-winning photographer, journalist, and broadcaster, expert from sports to music. Welcome, my guest today, Josh Salmon. How's it going today, man?
Good. How are you, Dion?
I'm doing good. It's been an up and down day. I dealt with this guy. I was at the restaurant. This guy was being racist towards me. There's
Oh no.
always people out here like that. They got animosity towards people for no reason. And they don't know why they're angry and bitter.
Yeah, that's not cool. There's no reason for that.
Well, yeah, he a white supremacist. He worked at this restaurant in Chicago, where I'm at. His name's Steve. He always bothering me and stuff, and I don't even do nothing to him at all. He racist though. He got a racist. He don't like he don't like black people.
That's not cool.
Yeah, well, people don't care these days, Josh. You know what world we live in today, man.
Unfortunately, yes.
So let's get started with the interview. Let's talk about your San Diego Padres. Y'all got three players over there with $300 million contract. What do you think about the team this year? And you think they're gonna make it far?
It's been tough. It's been an up and down year. I knew going in that they would need pitching. You had, Musgrove had the surgery. He was going to be out all year. Yu Darvish hasn't pitched. He pitched a couple innings of a minor league stint. He's been out all year. Recently, Michael King went down with an elbow injury. So three of your four main starters have been out most of the year and will continue to be out. In that time, Dylan Cease hasn't pitched great. He's on a contract year, so you think his ERA is over 4. You've had some guys out of the bullpen. Obviously, they picked up Nate Pivetta from Boston. He's been the best pitcher overall. Stephen Kolek's been pretty good out of the bullpen, but they need pitching. They need at least a couple more arms and one more bat. Left field has just been a revolving door all year long. You've had 4 different guys play left field. None of them fit the bill, so you definitely need to get a killer.
Well, do you think that they're gonna make the playoffs this year? 'Cause you got the Dodgers, you got the Cubs. So I'm in Chicago. The Cubs been good. You got the Mets, then you got the Phillies. You got the usual suspects, and then you got Milwaukee. I think y'all probably gonna be a wild card because the Giants just got Rafael Devers, man. So they going all in to win this year.
Yeah, they did. Devers was a good pickup. He's a very good player. I was really impressed that they got him. Dodgers have had a ton of pitching injuries, so that's the only good thing in the National League West. Although Otani's going to pitch an inning or two tonight, but they've had a ton of pitching injuries, so that's a good thing. That National League West is tough because you don't roll out the Giants. The Diamondbacks aren't terrible either. They're kind of on the fence. Are they going to be buyers or are they going to be sellers? Corbin Carroll's hitting well, but their pitching hasn't been great. So I think they're going to be sellers. Rocky's obviously out of it. So that Western Division is really, really tough. But yeah, your Cubs are playing well. Milwaukee's not out of it. Cardinals haven't been terrible. The Phillies haven't played late. The Phillies will always come back. I think the Braves are kind of a down year for them. But the Mets will be good too. So yeah, it's going to be hard to get a wild card spot. Will they do it? If Padres can get an outfield bat and an arm or two, yes. I think they can make the playoff. But they're right now they're sitting there.
I think they need to blow up the team though, man. Because the thing is, they're not gonna send Cease back. He gonna get $200 million. Yeah. And Michael King, I think Michael King, y'all best bet. I think y'all should have traded them away and get value. Did like maybe a Aroldis Chapman when he signed with the Cubs, and then he went back to the Yankees the year later. He won them a championship. I think y'all should have did that. Trade them away and then brought them back, and have a gap year. Because y'all need pitching, y'all hitting good. Y'all got Machado, Tatis, and Bogarts. He came on the Red Sox. That Devers that's left.
Sure. The problem with the Padres is they have so many big contracts they can't unload them. They signed Jake Cronenworth to that 7-year deal a couple of years ago, and he came off a career year, and he's never going to be more than a 250 hitter with 7 home runs and 40 RBI. Nobody's going to take on that huge contract for him. They have a big contract with Bogarts, but when they got Bogarts, he was already 30 years old. And that's another contract you'll never get out of. I think next year is the first year they're not paying Eric Hosmer. Eric Hosmer hasn't even been in Major League Baseball in 2 years. They've been paying him for 4. He hasn't been on the Padres for years. There's $100 million right there to Hosmer that hasn't even been on the team. Those are some bad contracts. And when they got those other guys, they depleted a lot of the funds. There's really not much in the farm system right now. The good players, you have Ethan Salas, they have Breeze, but really not a whole lot that they used to have. So it's going to be hard to make a trade because of those big contracts.
Well, how is it being a high school broadcaster and doing major sports like football and like what school do you broadcast for and do you talk to the athletes? How has that changed you? Because have you would you ever think about broadcasting at the professional level?
Oh, I would love to. I used to do some college baseball also in the summer. We have a college league here, and kids from all over the country come and play baseball, work on their skills, and transfer to D1 schools. And so I did that for 5 years, and that was a lot of fun to kind of talk to those kids about what their college is like, their situation. The high school I do here is very, very small. They're two Christian schools. Nobody else was broadcasting them at all. They have some good athletes. They were getting no exposure, and I'm not sure why. A couple of them made state tournaments the last few years, and nobody was covering them. So I said, hey, I'm going to cover them. And so, but they're both very small Christian schools here in Nebraska, and they've, their athletes have thanked me many, many times after the games, before the games. I interview the high school athletes. It's good for them to get practice interviewing as well. I've had some of them come on the radio with me and talk. Some of them were, if they were injured, they would come on the radio and they would do color commentary for me. And that gives them a chance to kind of see what that's like. And maybe that's, something they're interested in down the line as well. I've had coaches come on, but, we've had, in the 3 years I've been doing this private broadcaster, my private school broadcasting, it's free for everybody to watch. We don't charge anything to listen either. But I've had, almost 9,000 listeners in 3 years. And so that tells me that there's a market out there. So these two very small schools, they have 6-man football at one of the schools. I don't know if you've ever seen 6-man football, Dion, but it's a hoot. 6-man football, and the other school is 8-man football. So these are some small schools with some good athletes.
Well, the thing is, they're not getting recruited because they're a Christian school, and normally when you deal with guys, they normally don't get the exposure. Like, even on earth, a lot of people don't talk about the Lord and Christianity and everything, so that could be one reason. And then they don't got all the players like at IMG Academy or Bishop Gorman and stuff, the big schools and stuff, or Lyota or East St. Louis and Illinois,
Right. Yeah, they're in the smaller divisions. So here in Nebraska, where I'm at, we have, Class A is the big schools, then it goes B, C, D based on how many kids are enrolled. And so the two schools I cover are very low D. They're D2. And so, obviously the scouts are going to come out and look at the Class A athletes, the Class B athletes first, and then whatever. So a lot of these kids will go on to college sports, but they're not going to be at D1 schools.
Yeah, they probably going to be at North Dakota State or Illinois State. They'll be at the subdivision, and ain't nothing wrong with that at all, You may not play it, you could probably make the NFL depending on, how good you are. Look at Trey Lance. He went to North Dakota State, and he got discovered. He been a bust in the NFL because, he was at the lower level. Look at Carson Wentz. A quarterback's at the lower level, not that good, but look at wide receiver Randy Moss. Jerry Rice, they was very good. Jerry Rice went to Mississippi Valley State, HBCU. So wide receivers are more productive than quarterbacks at the lower division level.
So like Danny Woodhead, who played for the New England Patriots with Tom Brady, he has a couple, national championships Super Bowl championships. Danny Woodhead got rejected he's from Nebraska. He got rejected by University of Nebraska. They said, you're too small. You're too small to be a running back. And so he said, okay. So he went to Chadron State, which is just a state college here in Nebraska. And he played there and he got drafted right into the NFL to the Patriots. And he had his great successful career in the NFL. So he says, oh yeah, my size you show me. I've stood next to that guy. He's the same height I am, but his legs are bigger than my legs put together. He's got the strongest legs in the world. His biceps are huge. He didn't let that size threaten him at all. Look at Darren Sproles. He's another one. Look how small Darren Sproles was. It didn't matter. He went in the NFL for like 15 years. So you just got to get discovered. And Danny Woodhead was a very good athlete. And, Nebraska missed the boat on that one.
Yeah, Julian Edelman, too. He was a quarterback in football in college and stuff. And he switched positions at the NFL level. And he became a productive player and won Super Bowl.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that do that. Yeah, they start off as Scott Frost from Nebraska. He was a quarterback, a good Nebraska team, went into the NFL, played for the Jets. He ended up being a defensive end, I think, or a defensive back or something. So He played his 6 years in the NFL, and then he came out and he's been a coach ever since. So guys switch positions, whatever it takes.
Well said. That's how you got to do what you got to do to make it at the pro level. What are your thoughts on the Raphael Devers trade again? Do you think that the Red Sox going to regret it like the Mookie Betts trade? Or do you think that they won the trade and that they'll get another star player? Because star players do not like to stay with the Red Sox. And then, he had a problem with Craig Breslow. He don't want to play first base because they got Alex Bregman and he wanted to play third base and stuff, So
Right.
they had a lot of tension at the beginning of the season. What do you think about all of this drama and stuff with the Giants, Red Sox perspective?
I think Devers is probably relieved in the long run. It's been kind of a drama situation since they picked up Alex Bregman. It's like, okay, hey, I want to play third base, and Bregman wanted to play third base, and they worked it out. But Devers probably ain't going to play a whole lot of third base at Giants when Matt Chapman comes back, and he's only a couple weeks out. He'll be the defender because he's a very good defender. He'll still be a DH, but it'll be a clean slate and a new start and a new place. I think it'll be really good for Devers. I think Boston fans are mad, and they should be. This is one of their franchise guys, kind of left, of those three guys. If you look at Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts and Xander Bogaerts and Devers, this is the one of guys that was left, and all of a sudden, boom, just gone. I think the Boston fan base is going to be upset, but I think Devers will be happy. It's going to take an adjustment for him. It's a different league. He's a very good player, and I think overall he's kind of relieved. I think he's just like, I'm out of the drama. I think it's going to hurt Boston. I really do.
Well, he hit 18 home runs and 57 RBIs already.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt the lineup. They pitching going to be better because they got Harrison and they got Harrison. So they pitching going to be better, but the offense going to take a hit. They don't got a middle of the order batting stuff. They probably going to score less. They just swept the Yankees, the rivals, and then they traded him. What a letdown.
Yeah, that's a lot of offense to be shipped off across, a different league and a whole different division. And so for the Giants, that's a great pickup. They needed a bat. They needed an offensive guy. He's a guy that can hit. He's going to hit every year. He always has. This is actually one of his more down years. I have him on my fantasy baseball team every year, and he's one of the guys I keep because he's so solid. And so, yeah, it's a huge pickup for the Giants. As much as I hate to say it, being a Padres fan, that was a really good trade.
Well, the Giants ate $250 million. That's why people think the Red Sox did not lose because they ate all the rest of the money on his contract. So the Red Sox, they need to get a star player, though, in free agency, though, to prove that, and they need to keep a star around in order to prove to their fan base that they're not just rebuilding or always retooling every year.
Yeah, the Red Sox got 4 players in the deal as well. A couple pitchers. They got Jordan Hicks and a couple of their minor league guys. So, I mean, they got some trade back, and they'll usually in a trade deal when there's like 4 guys in a trade, usually 1 or 2 of them are really good, and the other 2 guys will never. I mean, you look back at all the famous trades in the world, 2 of them will probably be key players for the Red Sox, and the other 2 won't. So that's just the way the trades go. But I think both of them got what they wanted. I still think it's a better situation for Devers, and I think he's gonna thrive there.
Well, yeah, he in the National League. The National League is it's the Dodgers and everybody else. The Dodgers did the same thing last year when their pitching was hurt. They still won. They found a way. And they got the money, so they gonna get like 1 or 2 pitchers in the trade deadline like they always do.
You see my shirt here? This is Tony Gwynn. He was my favorite player.
Oh, that's okay. That's good.
19 is San Diego area code. It was, Tony Gwynn passed away 11 years ago. So I'm doing my Tony Gwynn shirt representing today. He was my boy.
I feel you, man. What are your thoughts? Why did you pick the Salmon Says for you media? Why did you say Salmon Says for your media?
Well, Salmon is my last name, and so there's the old children's game where Simon Says, Simon Says, put your hand on your head. Simon Says, touch your nose, that kind of thing. So it's kind of a play on words of that. I also have a cousin that has a similar name for his business. He teaches weight training, and his is Salmon Says Weight Training or something like that. So I said I kind of like that. He says, yeah, go ahead and use it. So I've done I did a podcast for 5 years, the Salmon Says podcast, and then Salmon Says Media is my overall. I mean, I do emceeing events, I do voiceovers. Plus my 2 broadcasting networks that I have. And so it's just kind of like Simon Says, it's easy to remember, but it's Salmon Says. So it's kind of a fun play on words, and that's the kind of guy I am. I'm just kind of silly sometimes.
That's what I'm talking about, salmon. I eat salmon, man. Get that rice, salmon and rice, man.
Good stuff for you.
So, so what are your thoughts on the major? What are your thoughts on the NFL right now with all this? You had the Shadur Sanders situation. What do you think about Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers? What do you think about what's going on in the NFL with all the teams right now?
The only Pittsburgh fan I know here is not happy about it. He didn't like Rodgers to begin with, and then Aaron Rodgers' career. I mean, he's peaked. He's not going to be Aaron Rodgers of old. He was injured most of last year with the Jets, I think, and they got him. They needed somebody. Russell Wilson really didn't do very well there. It wasn't a good situation for him. So yeah, I think that's not going to work out very good. They're going to have to get somebody else. I'm a big Chiefs guy, so I think the Chiefs will continue to load up and they'll be good again as long as they can keep Mahomes healthy, which they have. They'll be fine there. So as far as Sanders goes, I thought he was an overrated player in college myself. I think if his dad wasn't his coach, if he was at any other school, he wouldn't have got as many looks as he did. He's going to the Cleveland Browns. So maybe a good situation for him to kind of start there on a team that's not great and kind of establish himself and see where he's at. There's guys that didn't get drafted very high in college NFL at all and went in and did awesome. And there's guys that went in like Eddie George and I think of what was his name? Stewart that played for Colorado that went to Pittsburgh years ago. Anyways, he was very good in college. He got to the NFL and couldn't do anything. Cordell Stewart. Yeah, Cordell Stewart. So there's guys that do really good in college and don't do good in the NFL, and there's guys that do the opposite. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I think the Browns is a good team for him to start on and see where he's at.
Who was your favorite for the NFC and the AFC representing in the championship game next year, man? Right now, if you could pick.
Well, I love team. You probably wonder how I got to be a Chiefs fan because I grew up in San Diego. That's why I'm a Padres fan. The Chargers went to LA and were dead to me. I can't cheer for an LA team, so when the Chargers became the LA team,
they left. Yeah, because they left San Diego,
That was it. They were done, and everybody I knew in San Diego hates the Chargers now because they moved. So I picked the Chiefs. It's proximity closer to Nebraska, so yeah, I like them in the AFC. The NFC could be interesting. The Eagles are always good. You have the 49ers. You can never rule them out either. So I think it's going to be one of those two teams again. They seem to be pretty good. Although never rule out the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills have gotten so close the last couple of years against the Chiefs that you never rule out the Buffalo Bills in the AFC either.
The problem I got with Kansas City is they're an older team now. Like defensively, Chris Jones is in his 30s, and I feel like they can make the playoffs, but I feel like they like San Francisco last year. I think they're gonna have a down year, I think, and then with Denver Broncos coming on, man, Denver Broncos gonna have the best running game in the AFC. They got a coach over there, and then look at Geno Smith. So Kansas City not gonna be walking through these teams no more at all. So the easy wins in the division, that's gonna be challenging. And then the other teams get back. Look at New England. New England not gonna be a pushover no more. They're gonna have a good defense. New England gonna be like Washington last year, I believe, because Washington did the same thing. They got people that they was familiar with on their team. They signed them to contracts, and look at them now. And Washington is one of the best teams in the NFC.
Well, yeah, and when I grew up, Detroit was terrible. You had Barry Sanders and nobody else. But what Barry Sanders did on a very crappy team was unbelievable. I used to watch Barry Sanders, and he'd get 8-10 yards of carry, and he had no offensive line whatsoever. And so now Detroit Lions are really good. And so you look at the line, just over the years, and that's another team that was always bad, and they became really good too. So the Lions are usually in it as well. But yeah, Chiefs are going to have to upgrade. They're going to have to get some younger guys. They're going to have to replace. They had a lot of guys last year. Wide receiver was the issue for them. They filtered in a lot of wide receivers. They can stay healthy and get some younger guys. They'll be fine.
Well, the thing is, Mahomes can't overcome bad offensive line. I think the offensive line is not going to be good again this year. They looking at a rookie and somebody named Moore that gave up a lot of sacks with San Francisco. He wasn't good with San Francisco last year, and they signed him 3 years, $30 million, and now they're trying to bag him up for a rookie. So they in disarray already from an offensive line standpoint. The offensive line is not going to be good, and they got rid of Tooney. That was a dumb move because he was the best offensive line last year. So they got rid of the best offensive line, and they made me starting a rookie again over Moore, a veteran for the 49ers last year. So their offensive line is not going to be good again this year.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes was sacked more times last year than he ever has in his career.
Well, he's going to be sacked again this year because they got rid of Tooney. He was their
Right.
best offensive lineman, and he gone. And their defense going to get older. Chris Jones, he a big guy, but he getting in his 30s. Normally, when you get older, you don't get better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
going
he
to be
not
tough.
going.
See what happens.
Well, it's going to be tough because AFC getting better. Look at Joe Burrow. You got Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. You got Geno Smith. You got Justin Herbert. You
Yeah.
got Trevor Lawrence. You got C.J. Stroud. You got Drake May. You know they got a lot of quarterbacks. You know they okay quarterbacks. Like I think Mahomes is like the second best. He like the second best quarterback, but I think Jackson and Allen battling him right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Lamar's awesome, and Josh isn't bad either. But Lamar just amazes me when I watch that guy. He's just crazy good, and no matter what you throw at him, he seems to get out of it. So I think he's a very good quarterback, and I almost
Well,
forgot about him.
and guess what? They just got D Hop and everything, and Lamar get better every year. I think Baltimore would have beat Kansas City last year if they would have played instead of Buffalo. Because I think Baltimore got Kansas City number. You know, they just because they had Derrick Henry, it would have been a different result because they run the ball now.
Yep.
They don't need Jackson. They not relying on him at all.
Got to be interesting to see what happens there.
And then what about your baseball picks? What do you think about the baseball right now going on? Who you think gonna be in the big game this year? You got LA or the field, and then you got who you got on the AL?
You know, the as much as I don't like the Yankees, that Aaron Judge is keeping things going. Yeah, they're without Garrett Cole. I look for them to make another trade, get another arm. They're the Yankees. You know, they're going to be in it. Boston with this trade of Devers, it's going to be interesting. That East division is pretty much Yankees right now. Toronto's not good. I mean, they're not as good as they should be. Baltimore's terrible, which really surprises me. As good as they were last year, you know, they've already fired a manager. You know, the Central Division is mediocre at best. You know, besides the Tigers are legit. Tigers are a good team. I love the Royals, but Tigers are playing really well, so that'd probably be their division there. You look out west. You know, Houston's not bad, but there's really not a whole lot of forefront. Seattle does good for a while and then usually kind of peters out at the end. So again, that division. So the American League is kind of wide open. I think it's a little more defined than the National League, as we said. Dodgers, Padres, Giants will be your three in the West. And that can go any way. Your Cubs are doing awesome. Milwaukee, you know, they're going to have to try to keep it up and keep things going. St. Louis ain't playing terrible in that division. A lot better than they were last year. Never rule out the Phillies in the East. The Mets, obviously. The Braves are going to make a trade, but I still think that they've just – I don't know. I just don't think it's there for the Braves this year.
Yeah. So who you think you think the Dodgers and the Yankees gonna play again?
I hope not. The two teams I hate the worst in the World Series. I didn't watch a single game of it last year, so I'm hoping that at least one of them, isn't in it. Mainly the Dodgers, but I don't know. I think it'll be two different teams. It's rarely the same two teams every single year. I think that's gonna. I think either one of them won't be in it. That'll be my thing. If I had to pick right now, probably not in it.
I think the Yankees not gonna be in it.
Yep, that's my thought too. Yep.
Yep. I think the Dodgers gonna win because they got talent. You know, they got the best player in baseball, Ohtani. Because he go both ways. That's why he the best. Because he can pitch and hit. Other than that, it's Judge. Aaron Judge, the best player, but he only hit though. He can't pitch.
Right, and his fielding's not great. So.
Well, they don't care his offense or nothing. He got 30 home runs already almost.
Yeah, that's what
he
the
gonna
DH.
get like 70. He gonna get like 70, 80 home runs this year, easy.
Yeah, as long as he stays healthy, he's on a crazy tear.
Yeah. So how has God changed you, Josh, man? Because you know we need more God. We need more holiness. You know, yesterday was Father's Day.
Sure.
What do you think about the Lord and everything? How He has changed you, and what do you think people need on this earth, like men's, women, whatever in general? That
Yeah, and I'm gonna give advice I wish I would have known when I was, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. When I was a single guy, I worked at a hard rock station, and I didn't drink or anything like that. I didn't really go out boozing. I wasn't much of a womanizer type thing, but I wasn't living a very godly life. I didn't go to church. Yeah, I believed in God. That was about it. And it was, just things I wasn't proud of myself for doing. Something I didn't think I would. And then here I am, 25 years later, I started the Christian Network, broadcasting network. I'm serving my church weekly on a couple different levels. It took me 20 years to realize in broadcasting what God wanted me to do with this talent. I worked at radio stations from classic rock. I worked in 3 different towns. I started as an intern in San Diego sports talk. So it took me over 20 years to realize how God wanted me to use this talent. And now I'm doing that. And so now I need to say, okay, what's next? What else does he want me to do? And I think that's incorporate students into broadcasting, which I've been doing. So I think if people looking to turn their life around, I think God's a good way to do it. I started going to church when I was single 20 years ago, and I was like, hey, it was too big a church. I felt just like a number, and it was a good church. And they were nice people, but I just felt like a number. So now we go to a really, really small church. I mean, there's maybe 20, 25 people there a week. I mean, there's we have no screens. We have no choir. My wife plays the organ, and, it's mostly older people, but I love it. I don't feel like a number. I feel like a part of the church. I really get more out of it. So, I mean, kind of find your own thing. Obviously in bigger cities, it's a lot different, but you don't feel you go to church, you're wanted, and people always want you, and they want you the best for you. So dig deep into yourself. This is advice for anybody, and find out what your talent is and how you can use that to better God.
Because the thing I don't like about the world, like I've been saying for a while, Josh. The thing I don't like worldly women. I like godly women. Worldly women, it's just about one thing, it don't really last.
Sure. Yeah, I married a very godly woman. So my wife is extremely that way. Well, she teaches VBS. She teaches at a Lutheran school. She plays the organ at church. She's been that way her whole life, and so she's been a better step for me.
Well, yeah, when you meet somebody that's holy, it's always better for you in the end. That way you ain't going through the motions and dating around.
Yeah, and I was 30 before I got married. Most people in Nebraska are married by the time they're 22, 23, 24. I was 30 when I got married. She's 8 years younger than me, but that's the way it worked out. And, everybody has their own time. So don't rush into marriage is my other thing. I know a lot of people that have been, got married young and lasted 14, 15 years, 3 kids later, and they're divorced. I've known many people that's happened to. So, make sure it's the right person. And like you said, you're both God. The thing with the relationship is you put him first. So it's a triune, 3 of you. Husband, wife, and God. And so you keep those 3 together. And it's hard to do, even in the most Christian household, but you got to do it.
Well, you got to serve God even if you're not here. Like if somebody passed away, you still have to serve the Lord and go on, because sure. That's what God wants us to do. Like I was watching a service at Chicago West, and he was talking about, man, they godly man. You can tell when you're in a room with a godly man, you feel safe around them, you know.
And do unto others. I mean, as the Bible says, treat people the way you want to be treated. Yeah, and, if somebody has family member, take them some meals or things like that. Just help them out. Be a listening ear. Sometimes it's just a matter of listening and giving feedback, and do what you can. My uncle was a very Christian man. He passed away a few years ago. We were very close, but his acronym for life was JOY, joy. Jesus, others, yourself, and that's the perfect acronym for life, and that's exactly the way he lived his life.
Well said. So that was a nice segue. Now let's get to your impressions, man, because I know you're very good at this. So can you give us some Forrest Gump, right now?
Sure. All right, I'll start with Forrest Gump, and then I get into some Muppet characters and stuff afterwards. So the Forrest Gump came about in college. I liked the movie, and I just thought it was a funny character. So Forrest, hi, my name's Forrest Gump. I like to mow grass and drink Dr. Pepper and hang out with my friend Lieutenant Dan. We eat shrimp and, Jenny, her house, and I visit her, and it's just a lot of fun.
Can you give us some Ernie?
Yeah, Ernie from Sesame Street. So Ernie's very close to Kermit. Kermit's like up here. Kermit's like, hi, it's Kermit the Frog. Ah! And Ernie's very low. Hey guys, it's Ernie. Rubber ducky, you're the one. Hey Bert, hey, come in here. We're on the peak.
Can you give us some Cookie Monster?
Yeah, Cookie Monster's very low as well. This one almost hurts your throat, but it's, hello, my name Cookie Monster. Num. Oh, sorry, I ate microphone. C is for cookie. Good enough for me. Okay, bye.
And can you give us some Grove on Sesame Street?
All right, so I can do Grover. You want Grover? How about Grover? All right, Grover's like, near. Today we're going to learn about podcasting. Dion is a good person to learn podcasting from today here on Sesame Street.
And then let's do some Kermit the Frog.
All right, Kermit. Hi ho, Kermit the Frog newsflash. This just in, Kermit's like, and frogs like to play banjos. Yay! And he always gets excited. Can you Mickey Mouse?
Can you do some Crocodile Hunter?
Yeah, Crocodile Hunter, obviously he's dead, but I like to pretend, he calls in from heaven or something. Good eye, crikey, don't get too close. Look at this. It's an ink pen. Isn't it a beaut? Whoa. It tried to bite my hand off. Crikey. He got excited about it.
And then one more Harry Carey,
All right. So my Harry Carey is kind of like Will Ferrell's. I kind of manufactured it from that. So Harry Carey's always not really in the right places. Hi, we're talking with Josh Salmon here. And if you spell salmon backwards, it's Nomloss. Cubs are going to go win today. I'll do it. I'm looking for Rich Sutcliffe to have a good game today. Rich Sutcliffe doesn't play anymore. Well, then it's going to be Andre Dawson. Okay, Harry.
Well, Josh, it was great having you on today, man. And come on again, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Dion.
All right, see you, man.
Bye. Cool. I will send this over to you, dude.
All right.
Thanks.
See you.